Hello, my name is Brother Sean, for those who have never met this man in a dress before. But all joking apart, I am a Catholic Christian, a lay monastic Franciscan monk, who lives a contemplative life from my monastery without walls, but I'm also a member of the Teo community of interfaith Franciscans. And the purpose of this short video, it's a heart to soul reflection. And what I'd like to use for that reflection are the words given to us by a great spiritual teacher, Thomas Merton. And this is what he says: in humility is the greatest freedom. As long as you have to defend the imaginary self that you think is important, you lose your peace of heart. As soon as you compare that shadow with the shadows of other people, you lose all joy, because you have begun to trade in unrealities, and there is no joy in things that do not exist. In humility is the greatest freedom. One of the downfalls for many of us on the spiritual path is ego. We battle with it every day. The mind is a gift from God, but it also can be the seedbed for the Antichrist, who seeks to knock us off course and keep us down in the gutter. And I know this from my own journey, because for many, many years I was what you would call a devout Catholic Christian who thought he'd surrendered his heart. But when I realized through my breakdown where my ego was broken, that part of me that was more bothered about what other people thought of me, as the nurse, the manager, the regular church attender, my attention was focused not on what God thought, but on what others thought of me. The person pleaser I was, the rescuer, all of those things alienated my heart. So I had a false sense of humility, and I was nurturing pride and arrogance and deceitfulness. Excuse me. But when 1996 came, and a dear friend of mine who was like a blood brother of 28 years died of cancer, I entered a new phase, the beginning of a spiritual journey, a love affair with God. And though I'd been a nursing monk in the Catholic Church for 8 years, I never sensed a belonging. I never felt comfortable in my skin, and I was never made to feel good enough, or that I was a child of God. So I gave lip service, not heart service, and I'm ashamed of that. Truly I am. But I endorse the words of Thomas Merton, because unless we're broken in our ego and our own self-importance and self-righteousness, unless we walk the talk rather than talk the walk, as they say, then we lose our heart. We lose that sense of joy and freedom. And I know many of my colleagues within the church, there are a few who are deeply happy, like Papa Francis, the new Pope, and who radiate that joy. It's infectious. But there are so many, and the light has gone out as it did in me. And it took about 40 years in a wilderness of my own doing, my own stubbornness of heart, my reluctance to listen, to be told. Oh, I was such a pain in the butt. and how God put up with me, but He did, and never gave up on me when I gave up on me. And though I battled with suicidal ideation as a side effect of Prozac and disinhibited, disassociated behaviour, I was a real character. I'd gone from being a law-abiding citizen, an upright person in the community, to becoming an absolute maniac. And guess what? I was even found stark naked in Dublin, in the city centre. I was out of my mind. I was irresponsible. But God had a plan. And through loving nurturing, He brought 3 amazing people into my life when I got on my knees and asked for help. But I wasn't all pious and holy, dear God, please help me a sinner. No. I challenged God. I said, you said, whatever you ask in my name, in the name of Christ, I will do for you. I said, well, honor your words, because I am really screwed up and hurting. And within 7 days, something amazing happened. 3 beautiful people came into my life and empowered me to self-heal. And it's been a long journey, a slow process. And there have been times when I've slipped up and fallen back. But each time I was dusted down and picked up again and loved. And I share that with you because maybe you are in a place where you feel totally lost and angry with yourself or with God or with society. But there is help. I mean, from being the extrovert, I've now become an introvert. I used to hate my own company, now I love it. I couldn't cope with peace and stillness and silence, now I embrace it. I've undergone a complete metamorphosis. And I am happy for the first time in my life in my own skin, albeit 65 years old and weathered. And though parts of me is going south, I can assure you, the moment you surrender your heart to God, to love, not to become a born-again, evangelical, Bible-bashing, whatever, because they scare me. And the reason why I was guided to become a Franciscan was because I love animals, I love nature, and I love being in the cathedral of God. In fact, only an hour ago, I was walking along the old redundant railway line nearby at the edge of the woods, and trees form a canopy like a cloister, and hardly anybody is there, and there's just me and the 3 dogs and nature singing its little heart out. And I am not afraid, because it's music for my soul. And that internal peace is because God had to deal with me quite harshly and take me from being a self-opinionated, bombastic, arrogant, deceitful, manipulative, scheming, lip service Christian, Catholic Christian, to becoming an enclosed monastic who embraces a much simpler life. So if we are willing to surrender our heart to God and willing to trust in the powers of God, then stand back and wait for the fireworks, because something amazing will happen for you if you're willing to trust. And that's the key word. Who do you trust? Your mind? Forget it. Or your God? Go with it. All things are possible for those who believe. All things are achievable for those who trust. And I'm not saying that I'm an example for you to follow, because I'm not. Because we're all unique, but remember this. The saints of God had a past. And the sinners like you and me have a future. A beautiful future. But are you willing to take the penultimate step? Or are you going to become, or still remain, a spiritual ballerina as I was, with one leg on the bar and one leg on the ground? Then after a while, your muscles get tired and you land on your butt. Look, God is not a fearful God. Not the God I was introduced to as a Catholic monk. I lived in fear of him. I was petrified because of all that negative mindset and reprogramming, that you're unworthy, everything, you depend on God for your daily bread. Yes, that's true, but as St. Benedict said, a spoonful of honey attracts more flies than a barrel of vinegar. I'm me now. I don't need to be a person pleaser or a rescuer. I've done all of that for best part of 50 odd years, and I ended up a very sick person. And I was miserable, lonely, embittered, twisted. But now there are people who don't like me speaking my truth. Tough. There are others who find what I say and share challenging, tough. I am here to honor my heart. And anything I share with you is not from a heart that's controlling or manipulative, but a heart that's infused by God's love. And there is no condemnation of you. And I'm not here to peddle Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam. I am here to invite you to embrace a loving God who bypasses labels. Religion is man-made. Spirituality is God-given. And the path I'm on is the spiritual path, where I'm honored to embrace different faiths, because there's a richness in every one, as there are negative mindsets. I don't pick and choose. I just come to God as I am, and I just say, guide me, protect me, nurture me, nourish me, support me, and let my hands and my feet and my heart be your feet, your hands, your heart, and do with me what thou wilt. Thank you for watching this owl monk share with you from his heart. And I ask you to pray for me, because I'm human. And in my humanity I battle every day bipolar. That's a prayer. That's my greatest gift I offer to God. Yeah. Namaste. Keep in touch.